In the previous session, while discussing about general aspects, I talked about what is the necessity of the primary transcript to undergo post-transcriptional modifications and what are the differences between prokaryotic system and eukaryotic system and which RNAs we are going to take up in this task. In this, the first thing which I'll be taking up about the messenger RNA, I'll be discussing the post-transcriptional modifications of the messenger RNA. The objective which I set for this session is to discuss about various post-transcriptional modifications specifically pertaining to the messenger RNA. Let us talk about the changes. What are changes of the post-transcriptional modifications? Let us talk about system, prokaryotic system and eukaryotic system. Okay, this is the prokaryotic and then eukaryotic system. So what are those changes? Let us talk about this one. In the prokaryotic system, there are very few changes takes place. Very few changes takes place. Whereas in eukaryotic system, there are many changes. For this, I also explained about the reason because in the prokaryotic system, so there is no many prokaryotic system, there is no demarcated nucleus. So before the completion of the transcription, translation starts in the prokaryotic system, whereas in the eukaryotic system, there is a clear demarcation. So transcription will be completed, post-transcriptional modification will take place, then the translation process will start. So with reference to the messenger RNA, what are those changes? What are the main changes I will be discussing about? The first one is 5' capping. So that means there is a capping at the 5' end. Then the second one is poly A tail. So at the end of the 3' poly A tail. Okay, that is at 3'. Then the entire messenger RNA, so there is a splicing process taking place. Splicing process is taking place. Some portions are removed and joined. Okay, some are discarded and others are joined. So these are the main changes which are come under the post-transcriptional modifications. Before entering about the 5' capping, I would like to emphasize on this one. So what happens when you talk about the primary transcript? So immediately after the transcription process, that is we call it primary transcript, and the mature RNA after the post-transcriptional modifications. So what happens when you talk about this one? No editing, no editing at the 5' end, no editing at the 5' end. So except capping. So please note this one is in the primary transcript and mature RNA. When you see this one, okay, so the difference when you see, okay, so primary transcript mature RNA, so what happens? The sequence doesn't change. No difference between these two because there is no editing at the 5' end except capping. Cap is added. That is the only thing you have to take note of this aspect. Let us first talk about the capping. This is capping process. Okay, what is this cap? What it constitutes? Let us see. A cap constitutes a base. What is the base? The base is a purine base. Okay, purine base. The base we say is guanine. Okay, guanine is part of the cap. Guanine is part of the cap. Okay, but it is not a simple guanine. It is 7-methyl guanine. 7-methyl guanine. Suppose if you add then one sugar, that is ribose. When you add the ribose to the 7-methyl guanine, then what happens here? Here we can say in the 7-methyl guanine the sugar is added. Okay, sugar is added and the sugar here, the N-glycosidic linkase. Okay, then I'm not writing about other aspects. Simply, this is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, in the 5, there is CH2OH. Actually, what happens, one nucleotide is combined, one nucleoside is combined with the another nucleoside through phosphodiester linkase that is between 3 prime to 5 prime. 3 prime at one side and 5 prime another side. But here it is not taking place like that. See, you can see here the at the 5 prime end. This is the 5 prime end, and then another one and another one. Okay, then what happens? So here the transcript, I have this transcript. Here it is 5 prime end. Okay, so when you see this one, what is this cap? The cap is, when I write the cap here, the cap is 7-methyl guanosine. It is guanosine triphosphate cap. It is 7-methyl guanosine, okay, triphosphate cap. And what is the specific aspect of this cap? You can see the specific aspect of the cap. So there is 5 prime linkase, phosphodiester linkase. It is not 3 prime linkase, it is 5 prime linkase. Okay, so this is one special about this aspect. Okay, then what are the uses of cap? Why a messenger RNA should have a cap? The cap prevents, the first one important aspect is cap prevents exonuclease activity. Prevents exonuclease activity. What is exonuclease? So there are two types of nucleases, and one is exonuclease and another is the endonuclease. The exonuclease cuts the any DNA or RNA from the end, either from the 5 prime end or from the 3 prime end. So if it is starts cutting from the 5 prime end, then we call it 5 prime exonuclease. If it is cutting from the 3 prime end, we call it 3 prime exonuclease. So because of this cap, the exonuclease cannot act. Okay, the next aspect. What is the next aspect? The next aspect is the, when you see the translation from where it starts, when you read about the translation in the upcoming sessions, you will be knowing translation will be starting at the one end of messenger RNA. So translation starts at 5 prime end. So how that 5 prime end, or from the place where the translation has to start, how the translation machinery understands it, how it identifies it? It is the cap which guides it. It is a cap which guides the translating machinery. Yes, the translation has to be started from this place. Okay, this is about the cap. The second one is poly A tail. You must be very clear about the poly A tail. I also tried to make you understand in the session of the eukaryotic transcription. Okay, let us see. Again, I am writing this particular aspect here, the structure of this one. Then we have the, I say AAU, A, AAU, A, and 3 prime end. AAU, A, and 3 prime end. Then what happens? So let me just little bit, maybe I'll incorporate some change here to make it to understand you better. Then let us see, here I am writing only shortening it. Then I am writing AAU, A. Okay, then it is 3 prime end. So 3 prime end. Okay, then so now there is a addition of a tail, polyadenylated tail. In the polyadenylated tail, so what happens? There is a sequence which I said AAUA. This sequence I said in previous eukaryotic transcription consensus sequence. It is consensus sequence. Here from this sequence around 15 bases. From the sequence around 15 bases. So there will be a cut is made. There is a cut is made. A cut is made. Okay, once the cut is made, then what happens? This particular portion is digested. This particular portion is digested. See how the digestion of this particular portion is taking place. Once this particular portion is digested, then so there will be addition of polyadenylated tail is taking place. Addition of the many adenyl groups which are taking place. See how beautifully, how methodologically it is done. You can see here that is polyadenylated tail. Okay, so this is the second change which is taking place in this messenger RNA. Okay, when you talk about this polyadenylated tail, how long it is? Here there may be 20 to 250 nucleobases will be there. Okay, nucleotides will be there. Okay, then maybe some it may be 20, some it may be 30, some may be 100, some maybe it is 250. So every messenger RNA has got the poly tail. It is not so. Some of the messenger RNAs, they do not have the polyadenylated tail. Suppose if I take example of the messenger RNA for the which is involved in the synthesis of histones. Here the messenger RNA does not have polyadenylated tail. So that means, so this messenger RNA does not have polyadenylated tail. Okay, so this is another important point you have to note it. So it is not necessary all the messenger RNAs, so they have the polyadenylated tail and some they do not have it. Then again, what is the use of this polyadenylated tail? What is the use? The use is like earlier I have discussed. Okay, the RNA, protect RNA from the 3' exonuclease activity. 3' exonuclease activity. So like earlier I said, the another enzyme which is the 5' exonuclease that protects the RNA from the 5' end. This is from the 3' end. Okay, this is about the second aspect. Okay, suppose if there is no polyadenylated tail, suppose if there is no polyadenylated tail, then what will happen? There is no polyadenylated tail. So what is the problem? Why do you add this polyadenylated tail taking so much pain? So because the polyadenylated tail, if it is not there, the stability is decreased. The stability is decreased. Stability of messenger RNA decreased. Okay. Then, so what happens if you take the messenger RNA of the histones, which doesn't contain polyadenylated tail? So what is the problem? So they have short of life. They have short of life, and so their stability is also decreased. Their stability is low. Okay, so this is about the importance of polyadenylated tail. Now let us talk about the third aspect. The third aspect is, I say, splicing. Splicing in eukaryotic system. Splicing is very essential in eukaryotic system. So when you talk about this splicing, so before taking up the details of this splicing, I would like to say it is eukaryotic messenger RNA. There are some clear differences I would like to say between the eukaryotic system and prokaryotic system. Okay, why I'm telling at the different times? So because it is pertaining to this splicing point. Okay, pertaining to this splicing point. Okay, here the eukaryotic messenger RNA, it encodes, it means it is responsible for the formation of particular protein. Okay, encodes information. Okay, it has to be encoded, the genetic code has to be encoded, the genetic code has to be there. So then the eukaryotic messenger RNA, whatever the information present in the form of nucleotides, that we call it the genetic code, it is for only single protein. It is for the single protein. Okay, what about prokaryotic system? The prokaryotic system, it is encode. It has got the information, it has got a lot of information. Okay, it encode information for many proteins. See the difference between eukaryotic system, okay, and prokaryotic system. It is for the several proteins. It is for the several proteins. Eukaryotic, only one protein. Here it is several proteins. So in fact, we should not call it protein. Let me discuss. So, single protein, when you talk about, for the sake of calling, we call it single protein. So, you must have heard many times we say one cistron, and one polypeptide. One polypeptide, okay? One cistron and one polypeptide. So, that is the reason we call it monocistronic eukaryotic system. Here, prokaryotic, we call it polycistronic. Okay, monocistronic in case of the eukaryotic system, and prokaryotic system polycistronic. The several proteins can be, it gives information for the several proteins. Here, eukaryotic system, only one polypeptide, it gives the information. Let me talk about the splicing aspect. You please try to understand. Very simple way I will try to explain. Okay, this is the one. Then let me give a different color to this one. Okay, here this is the color which I am giving. This area. Okay, this is the area which I am giving. Okay, then okay, let us see. This is the area which I am giving. So three areas I have given a color code. What is this? Is the one portion which I have similar blue area. Okay, then this is the one portion. Okay, and you can see this one maybe orange portion. Okay, so see how they are. Okay, these portions we call it. It is again you see here. Okay, it is we call it axon. How many axons are there? Here we have 4 axon are there. 4 axon, right? 4 axons are there. Okay, then what happens? There are 3 areas which are there. They are introns. Okay, 3 areas which are introns. I will further discuss about this aspect. So let me just point out to say that in messenger RNA there are primary transcript. So there is 2 areas which are spread. One is exon sequences, another one is intron sequences. What are exons? How do you elaborate exons? Exons are, we say, expressing genes. Mostly they are functional genes. Mostly, okay? I'm not telling all, okay? Mostly functional genes. About introns, what are introns? Introns are intervening sequences. See, each exon is separated by one intron, intervening sequences. Okay, so that is intron. Then, So exons and introns. I hope I have made it clear about this aspect about the exons expressing genes, introns intervening sequences, expressing sequences also you can say. Then what happens? When you say I'll draw nucleus. This is the nucleus. So these are messenger RNAs. When you see under microscope, these are messenger RNAs. Okay, they are messenger RNAs and they are messenger RNA and they are messenger RNAs. Okay, what happens? So when post-transcriptional modification which is taking place, as I said, up to maybe 90%, okay, nearly up to 90%, it is discarded. Okay, it may be 10%, 20%, 90% of what discarded? Primary transcript is discarded. 90% of primary transcript is discarded. So how it is possible discardation of this one? Through the splicing process. You see the nucleus under the microscope, sometimes you will find it. So there is different lengths of messenger RNA, different length of messenger RNA. So what we call that one? Heterogeneous nuclear RNA. We call it heterogeneous nuclear RNA, heterogeneous nuclear RNA. That means messenger RNA of the different lengths. Okay, so why it is called like that? Because different lengths are present. Okay, so then the moot question, the moot point which comes to us, the topic which we are discussing about is what is splicing? What is splicing? So how it is explained splicing? So splicing is nothing but excision of introns. Excision of introns. Okay. Once their excision of introns is taking place, so these introns are discarded. Excision of the introns. Okay. They are discarded. Then what happens? Exons are ligated. Exons are joined. Exons are joined. So the introns are cut and they are removed. Okay, exons are joined. So one thing you have to keep it in mind: the 5' cap is never discarded. Is never discarded. It will remain there. So it is not removed in this splicing process. It is never discarded. Okay. Then 3' segment also not removed. Okay. 3' segment also not removed. Segment is, we can say, usually retained. Both the 5' cap and 3' segment, they are retained. Okay, that is one thing we have to take note. What happens in the splicing process? What happens in the splicing process? Then, as I said, introns are lengthy. Introns, okay, introns length is much more than the exons. It is much more than exon. Generally, the exon length is around 150 nucleotides. 150 nucleotides on average. So I am not specific, I am not fixing the length, but on average 150 nucleotides. And whereas the intron length will be maybe small length, it may be very small to, okay, maybe up to 8 lakhs may be there. 8 lakh the nucleotides, so may be there. So that much long intron may be present. Okay. Then the next aspect which I would like to bring it to the notice is the splicing has to be accurate. The splicing process, splicing has to be accurate. It has to be accurate and precise. Why it has to be accurate and precise? Because even if one base extra is cut, there will be a defective messenger RNA. Even if one base less is cut, there will be defective messenger RNA. So that means, what is it? That means it has to be accurate and precise. You know that the genetic code, it is a reading frame. In the reading frame, if there is any deletions or additions are there, entire genome is going to be affected. Then how it able to carry out the splicing in such a accurate and precise way? How it is possible? That is very interesting when you see how it is possible to see how this is taking place. Okay, so it is very interesting. So when you talk about this particular one, there is some set pattern is followed. What is the set pattern? Suppose if I take F5 prime, okay, then this is the one which I have. Then this is the one exon again. This is another exon, and then this is another exon. Okay, this is the one which we have. Suppose what happens here? Here we can see this particular aspect. This is one sequence, this is another sequence. Again, this is one sequence, this is another sequence. This is one sequence, this is another sequence. You can see here, you can see here, you can see here. So, this one is, I can say, one intron. This one is the second intron, and this one is the third intron. These are introns. These are introns. Okay. Then, when I see this particular aspect, this is exon, this is exon, this is exon, this is exon. This entire is exons. Okay. This is the one exon, two exon, three exon, third, fourth exon. Okay. Then what happens? See how beautifully it is done. Then splicing process takes place. Splicing process is taking place. Once the splicing process taking place, what happens? The first intron is removed. First intron is removed and discarded. Then what will happen here? Here from I write here, this is the 1 and this is the 2. Okay, then let us see again. So I will write then this particular one. Okay, then the third, the axon I am writing here, and fourth one I am writing here. Okay, then you can see here. Okay, then okay. So what happens? This is second intron and this is third intron. This is the third intron. So here, what is it? It is the combination of first and second exons. It is combination of first and second exons. See how nicely it took place. Again, I will write here. Then what happens? Then I have here, then another length. Okay, then here the second intron is removed, that is discarded. Then I have what I have. Okay, so what I have here the third one. Okay, then the here first and second, here it is first, second, third exons, they are joined. Then we have this intron, okay, GU, AG, and then third intron is removed, third intron is removed. Then what we have here, first, second, and third exons. Then next splicing, the last one in this one. Okay, then third intron is removed and discarded. Then I have the messenger RNA. It is a combination of first plus two, second plus third plus fourth exons. This is the how introns are removed. In what way? In sequential manner. in sequential manner. Okay, that is the reason when you see in the nucleus, so what we get it, so we get the messenger RNA to we get to see the messenger RNA in different sizes. That is the reason we call it heterogeneous nuclear RNA. Okay, let me summarize this particular aspect. So I talked about this particular messenger RNA. Okay, so post-transcriptional modifications of messenger RNA. The objective which I have set is to discuss about various aspects of messenger RNA, various ways and methods of types of these post-transcriptional modifications. Then I discussed about the prokaryotic system and eukaryotic system, and whereas in the eukaryotes, there are many changes are there. In the prokaryotic, very few changes are there. Okay. Then what are the changes? Okay. One is 5' capping and poly A tail and splicing. This is, we call it splicing process. Splicing. Okay. Then the primary transcript and mature RNA, both, okay, no editing at the 5' end except addition of the capping. Okay, what is the cap which is present? What is the cap which is present? The cap is, as I said, 7-methyl guanosine triphosphate cap. 7-methyl guanosine triphosphate cap. Okay, so having this 5' phosphodiester linkase, you can see here 5' phosphodiester linkase. Then what is the use of the cap? Cap prevents exonuclease activity. RNA, it protects the messenger RNA from the exonuclease activity. Okay, then the other important use of the cap is it acts as an identification point. It acts as an identification point for the starting of the translation process. Then next is the poly A tail. In the poly A tail, so this is the cap and tail. As it was discussed in the eukaryotic transcription, there is a consensus sequence is present. Okay, AAUAA to the consensus sequence. So there is a 15 base pairs away. So the cut will be made and removal of that RNA 3' end is taking place and many adenyl groups are added, making it polyadenylated tail. It is making it polyadenylated tail. The length of the polyadenylated tail is around 20 to 250 nucleotides. Some it may be 20, others it may be 250. Then, so some of the messenger RNAs which are coding for some of the proteins, they do not have polyadenylated tail. So example is histones. Okay, so what is the use of having polyadenylated tail? It protects RNA so from the exonuclease activity. If there is no polyadenylated tail, what will happen? The stability of messenger RNA is decreased. So messenger RNA of these stones is having short half-life and it is low stability. It has got low stability. Okay, that is the another aspect. Then the splicing of in eukaryotes, the third aspect. So eukaryotic messenger RNA encodes information for the single protein. So we call it monocistronic. It is called monocistronic. So whereas the prokaryotic one polycistronic. Okay, then monocistronic means one cistron and one polypeptide, whereas polycistronic means so one this messenger RNA and several proteins. Okay, the monocistronic one messenger RNA and one gene. It is what's a one cistron means one gene and one polypeptide. Okay, here there are many proteins or polypeptides, they are synthesized, it is polycistronic. Okay, so when you see the messenger RNA, the exons or introns are spread. So introns separates the exons. Introns are much more longer than the exon. Exon means expressing genes. Introns means intervening sequences. Almost 90%, nearly 90% may be discarded. It is not compulsory. Maybe some it is 10, others 20, some others 50 or 60 like that. But one time if you see the nucleus under the microscope, what you will get able to see is messenger RNA of the different lengths. So we call it heterogeneous nuclear RNA. Then, so what is splicing? Splicing is nothing but excision of introns. These introns are discarded and exons are joined. That is splicing. So here 5 prime cap is never discarded. 3 prime segment is also is retained. Introns are more longer than the exons. Okay, that already discussed. So exon average length is 150 nucleotides. Introns may be small to up to 8 lakh nucleotides may be there. Splicing has to be accurate and precise. If it is not accurate precise, so there will be errors. So those errors will be lethal. Okay, the particular protein may not be synthesized or defective protein is synthesized. How it is possible? See here, every intron at the 5 prime and starts with the GU, ends with the AZ. See this aspect. Okay, the cutting takes place here. The cutting takes place here, and the cutting takes place here. Again, the cutting takes place here. The cutting takes place here. Here the cutting takes place. Here the cutting takes place. But they are not removed at one time. Sequential manner they are removed, and one intron is removed. 2 exons are ligated, and then second intron is removed, second intron is removed, third exon is ligated, and then like that in a sequential manner. So it is taking place, and all the introns are discarded. All the introns are discarded. Okay, this takes place in sequential manner. This is about the post-transcriptional modifications of the messenger RNA. In the next session, I will take up the ribosomal RNA and also transfer RNA. Thank you.